So when she said that, I looked at my mama, because I didn't want my mama to like dive across the room and attack the girl, because my mama was already on 10. She was cursing people out. She in kennel mode, because she was like, look what happened because y'all wanted to not listen to somebody. Hey y'all, what's up? It's Alicia and I'm back here with the video. As you could probably tell by the title, it is a story time about the time I gave birth to my son. And I delivered him by myself because none of the doctors would listen to me. But before we go any further, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for any of my future videos. And because I'm so nice, I'm going to give y'all a couple seconds to go ahead and do that. So you done? No? Okay. I can wait. You done? Good. Let's go. Okay, so it all started back in 2019 whenever I found out I was pregnant with my son. So I went to the same doctors that I went to when I had my daughter, because like when I went to them that time, everything was like perfect. Like when I had my daughter, I got induced and everything was fine. Like I pushed literally 2 times and she came out. Like I did a practice push and then I did a real push and she was here. So I was like, okay, that wasn't that bad, so I'm gonna go to the same doctors that I went to before. So I go ahead and make my doctor's appointment. They set me up. I go to my doctor's, everything's fine. So right around 33 weeks, I think it was, I was like 33 weeks, I started, like my blood pressure started, like every time they would take my blood pressure, they'd be like, your blood pressure's kind of high, like, you know, what are you eating? Are you stressed out? I'm like, no, blah blah blah, I'm fine, I'm eating right. And they're like, okay, well just watch what you eat and just kind of like, you know, try to relax as much as you can at home. I'm like, okay, cool. So long story short, it's starting to get worse. Like every time I go to like, hey, it's higher than it was before. And so now I'm starting to get like headaches and like I'm getting blurred vision, and these are all signs of like preeclampsia. So I'm telling my doctor like, hey, my head's hurting, hey, I have blurred vision, and she's like, okay, well we're just going to keep an eye on it. And I'm like, okay. So you know, I have family members that's in the medical field and they're like, she's not supposed to do that, she's supposed to kind of, you know, just, you know, tell you a little bit more than we're going to keep an eye on it. So long story short, I am 38 weeks pregnant. So I go to the doctor and it's actually February 14th. I'm at my doctor's appointment, and so they check my blood pressure and my blood pressure is really high. So my doctor's like, okay, we're going to admit you just for a little bit to see if it's going to, you know, lower. So they put me into a room and they just kind of watched me, gave me water, and they just sat there and like monitored me, and they were monitoring me to see if my blood pressure would lower or not. So I sat in the room for like 2 hours probably, and I was pissed because me and my fiance, I mean, I know like I should have been pissed because they were trying to check to see if, you know, me and my baby were okay. But I'm like, dang y'all, it's Valentine's Day. Like I was trying to go out to eat, like get my little meal in or whatever, but they were like, we're gonna let you sit in this room and we're just gonna see how your blood pressure is. So I was in the room for 2 hours. They came back in the room and they was like, hey, your blood pressure, it went down, so we're gonna let you leave, but just come back tomorrow so we can go ahead and keep monitoring your blood pressure. So we leave, I'll get my food, cause and I go back the next day and she's like doing her check or whatever, and she's like, okay, your blood pressure is still really high, so we're gonna keep you. So I want you to go home, get your overnight bag, get whatever you gotta get situated, and then come back because we're gonna go ahead and induce you and take the baby. So I was like, okay, you know, like I had been through this before, like I had a child before, but I'm still like, I'm scared, like I'm nervous. So I'm like, okay, so all right, well I'll be back. And this was like 12 o'clock, y'all. So I leave and like I go back to the house. I'm like freaking out, like I'm like picking up everything. I'm trying to make sure everything's neat. I already had my overnight bag. packed already, but I'm like picking up everything, trying to make sure everything's neat, everything's washed. And so like now it's like 4:30 and the doctor called me and she was like, hey, are you coming back? And I was like, yes, I'm coming back. I'm just freaking out. So I go back to the hospital, and by this time I had already called my family, my mom and my sister and my aunts and all of them, and let them know that like I'm about to get induced. So this is where things start to go downhill, Lord. So I get my overnight bag, we get in the car, we go back to the hospital, we have to go into the labor and delivery side. So we go in and they bring me into the room. Now my room is right across the hallway from the nurse's station. Like directly across the hallway from the nurse's station is my room. So that's an important part of the story, by the way. So they bring me in the room. I have to put on a little nightgown. They're checking all my vitals. They're checking through all my paperwork and everything, and they're putting the IV in my hand and whatnot. So I go ahead and meet the doctor and the nurse that's gonna be putting in the little balloon to induce me. So I forgot the doctor's name because I didn't even have a damn doctor. But the nurse, her name, let's call her, what can I call her? We're gonna call her Sarah. So Sarah is in there with the doctor, and so the doctor's like, hey, I'm gonna be the one putting the balloon in to induce you. So the way I got induced was like, it was a little balloon and they put the balloon inside of your cervix, and then they like pour water into it to widen your cervix. So that's supposed to help, like, you know, with the baby coming out, it's going to widen your cervix. And then when it gets to like 7 centimeters or whatever, the balloon's supposed to fall out, and then you're supposed to just continue to widen yourself. So they put the balloon in, and like when they were putting the balloon in, they were kind of like, oh wow, you have like a really high tolerance for pain. So I was like, okay. And it was like, yeah, because you know, other people, they would have been complaining by now, because you know, we're putting a lot of pressure down here, and you know, we could just tell you have a really high tolerance for pain. That's really good. So I was like, okay. So they were putting the balloon in, and like they were kind of just, I don't want to say like fumbling around, but they were kind of like, well, you do this and then I'll do this part, and then you do this part, and then I could pour the water, and then like they didn't know what they were doing, kind of almost like. And I'm like, okay, you're a doctor and you're supposed to be the nurse, so y'all supposed to know what y'all doing. So I'm just gonna hope that y'all know what y'all doing. But they were kind of like, okay, so we got the balloon in, and you're good. So I'm like, okay. They give me the medicine that's gonna help with them inducing me. So they give me the medicine, and like I'm kind of just comparing everything to like my first delivery, because this is only my second child. Like I really don't know what I'm doing still. So they give me the medicine to induce me, and like I'm like, wow, this medicine is working really fast. Like, because the first time they gave it to me, like the first time I was delivering and they gave it to me, it kind of took a minute. Like I would feel a contraction every now and then, but it'll just be like every now and then. So they give me the medicine, and so I'm like, wow, these contractions are like hitting, like they are hitting. So she was like, haha. And so I'm like, okay. So she's already off the bed ignoring me. So I'm talking to her, and like I'm just talking to her, like asking her general questions, and right off the bat, like every time I would try to talk to her, she would cut me off. So the doctor leaves, and Sarah, she's in there, and she's just kind of like, so yeah, if you need me, just let me know. Just press the little button on your bed and I'll come in, and I'll, you know, help you whatever your needs are. So I'm like, okay. So the contractions are like starting to like hit really fast, like faster than it should have been, like seeing as though they just gave me the medicine and like just put the balloon in. So I called Sarah back in. I'm like, hey, like these are kind of strong. And she was like, oh, that's weird. Yeah, you know. So I'm like, okay, well, can I get some pain medication? So she gave me the pain medication, and everything was good. So about an hour passes, and I'm like, okay, these are getting really strong. So I called Sarah in again, and I'm like, hey Sarah, can you give me some more pain medication? So she was like, well, you have to wait a full hour before we can give you any more pain medication. So I was like, okay, I mean, I guess I understand, even though like it's been an hour. I wait like 15 more minutes, I call her and she comes in and gives me another some more pain medication. So it goes like that for like, you know, a little bit more time passed, and I call her in because like, y'all, the contractions was getting so strong, like it was getting bad, and I was trying to like keep a brave face and just be like strong. I wanted to be like that strong person, like it's just a baby, I'm just having a baby, like, but the contractions are starting to hit. So I call Sarah and I'm like, Sarah, these contractions are getting really strong. And so she was like, oh. So I'm like, it's like getting to the point where like I can't take it anymore. So she was like, okay. I'm like, yeah. And on the board there's a little chart, and it goes from like 0 to like 10, and 0 has like a little smiley face, says no pain, and 10 is like a little crying face and it's like help. So I'm like, on a scale of 0 to 10, I am on a 20. Help me, please, somebody. Like, and so she's just like, oh, okay, well, you can't get any more pain medication because it hasn't been the time limit. So I'm like, okay, I want the epidural, because I remember the first time I was pregnant, the doctor was like, you can ask for the epidural at any time. So I was like, okay, I want the epidural. So she was like, well, it's too early to give it to you. So I was like, what you mean, Sarah? What you mean it's too early? Like, I want the drugs. So she was like, it's too early because if we give it to you, then you're not gonna be able to go to the restroom on your own because you're gonna be numb. And I was like, I don't care, give me the goddamn epidural. But she was like, it's too early, let's just wait a little bit longer because, you know, we just started the process. So I'm like, okay. At this point, I'm just being a bitch to everybody because I'm like in pain. So just being rude. I didn't want them to watch TV. I was like, turn the TV down. Why is the TV so loud? Why is everybody on their phone playing games? Why are y'all laughing on Instagram? Why are y'all enjoying yourselves? I'm dying. Somebody, I want y'all miserable like me. That's pretty much how I was. But so I was just being a party pooper the whole time. I was like, I don't want y'all on y'all phone laughing. What y'all laughing at? Nothing is funny. I don't need y'all watching this TV. What y'all looking at TV for? Somebody get one of these doctors up in here to help me. So I ding in again, and I'm like dinging, and I'm pressing the button, pressing the button, pressing the button. Nobody's coming into the room. So I'm to the point where like I'm stressed out. Everybody thought like that this was going to take like hours, because like the last time I was in labor with my daughter, I was in labor for like 27 hours, I think. So everybody thought that this was going to be like a long process. So my mother-in-law was like, okay, well, I'll be back tomorrow, and I'll try to get up early in the morning to be here before he comes. So she leaves, and I'm sitting there in so much pain. My fiance, he's asleep on a little uncomfortable sofa, sleeping like he's like in a 5-star hotel's bed. Like he's just over there sleeping so peacefully, and I'm over here about to rip my hair out. My mom gets up and she comes to like, she's like, let me just rub your back. So I snapped. I was like, I don't need you to rub my back. What I need you to do is get a doctor up in here, because they don't care that I'm about to die. So my mama, now y'all know, we know, us black girls, we don't talk to our mama like that. Like at all. So when my mama heard me curse at her, she knew something was wrong. So she gets up and she goes to the door, and so she opens the door, and all the nurses at the nurses station are just like all standing around talking. So she goes, press the button again. So I press the button on my bed, and like it starts, the nurses station starts blinking, like the little red light starts blinking, and you can hear like the little beep. So it's notifying them that my room is like blinking. And so they all just like stop talking and like look up. So she was like, so y'all don't hear that ding? Y'all don't hear the beep? So y'all don't hear the beep? So Sarah gets up and she comes to the room. So Sarah gets up and she comes in the room. So she's like, how are you feeling? So I'm like, Sarah, about to lose my shit. Can you do something? I want the epidural. Like, I don't care if I'm not gonna be able to get up and go to the bathroom by myself. Put the little catheter thing, whatever they call it, put it in. I don't care if I won't be able to walk. I just want some drugs. I can't take this anymore. And so keep in mind that my blood pressure has already been sky high the whole time that all this is going on, because like I'm so stressed out, because like I'm in so much pain. My body's in like extreme pain because I'm literally in labor. I'm stressed out and nobody's listening to me. I could have had a stroke. Like, my blood pressure being that high, I could have had a stroke right there in that bed and like could have died. And they would have just been like, oh my god, that's so sad, because like they literally did not care. I'm like, I'm on a 20 for pain. I want the epidural. Can I have it? Like, give me the epidural, please, now. Like, I need it. I want it. Help me, okay? So she goes, well, it's still kind of early for the epidural, but I'm gonna go ahead and go to lunch, and then when I come back, we'll see how far along you are, we can see about the epidural. What? Lunch? Oh my god. This girl told me she about to go to lunch. Ma'am, how are you gonna go to lunch? Aren't you supposed to like help me, like, because that's your job? Like, when I tell you that something's wrong, aren't you at least supposed to like check a little bit, perhaps, you know, maybe just like look a little bit, do something? Damn. So Sarah goes to lunch, and so I'm in the room pretty much like dying. I'm like sweating. I'm sweating so much. Like, I just have sweat. It's like somebody just came and threw like a bucket of water on me. I'm like sweating. My hair all over my head. I'm in the room dying. Let me stop saying that. Sarah went to lunch and I'm in the room, you know, struggling, because that's what I was doing. And all of a sudden another nurse comes in. And so I hadn't seen her before. Like, I had seen a couple of the other girls before, but I had seen this nurse before. So like, she just comes in and she just like, y'all, like, I feel like when she came in, it was like a light, like an angelic light, just like from the heavens, like just came. Because she came in, she was like, hey, you know, my name's Kelly. I don't know her name. I should have got her name, because she's actually the one that listened to me. But she was like, hey, you know, my name's Kelly, so hey, how are you feeling? So I was like, and Kelly, if your name's not even Kelly, oh my god, if you're ever watching this, thank you, because I was so rude to this girl. Like, I was so rude to her. Like, she got everything that Sarah should have gotten, but Sarah wasn't there. So she came in, she was like, how are you feeling? And I was like, I'm not doing good. I keep telling these bitches that I have something is wrong. They're not listening to me. Something is wrong, and they're still not listening to me. And I can't do this anymore. The pain is too much. I can't do it anymore. So she was like trying to calm me down. She was like, okay, let me look. Like, lean back, and she goes and she just moves the balloon. Like, she moves it just a little bit. Y'all, when she moved the balloon, everything came out. Blood, amniotic fluid. I could start, like, I put my hand down there and I could feel like my baby's head. So like, whenever she moved the balloon, like, amniotic fluid, blood, everything just started like coming out, like all over the bed, all over the floor. So she goes, oh no, oh no, oh no, baby, baby, baby. So she's running to the door because she's trying to get a doctor to come. So she runs to the door. So she's like, baby, and I hear her screaming into the hallway, baby, baby. So like, I put my hand down there and I can feel his head. So I like freak out and I pull my hands up. But then like, I'm like, if I don't do something, then nobody will, because clearly these nurses don't know what the hell they're doing. So I put my hands down there and I can feel him coming out. Like, at this point I wasn't even pushing, like he was just coming out all on his own. So I could feel him coming out. So I just kind of like put my hands down there and I just kind of like, when he was coming out, I just got him and I just brought him up and put him on my chest. So I don't know if I passed out after that, because I remember taking him out and putting him on my chest and I can hear him start crying. And But the next thing I know after that, like, I opened my eyes and it was like 12 doctors in my room. I just saw like one doctor, he just looked at me and he just like shook his head like, how the hell did they let this happen to this girl? And I'm just sitting looking at him like, I don't know, sir, because these nurses, they did not give one shit. Not even one. So Sarah comes in and she looks at me and she goes, wow, Alicia, you really weren't lying. You really were feeling bad. Why would I be lying? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, why would those words come out of your mouth? Why would I be lying about being in so much pain while having a baby, while in delivery? Why would somebody be lying about pain? Like, you're going to go through pain. You're pushing a human out of your vagina. So like when she said that, even like some of the other nurses kind of like looked like, here this bitch go, like. So when she said that, I looked at my mama because I didn't want my mama to like dive across the room and attack the girl, because my mama was already on 10. My mama was on 10 already. She was cursing people out. She in cannibal because she was like, look what happened because y'all wanted to not listen to somebody. So my mama on 10. So when she said, oh wow, Alicia, you weren't lying, I looked at my mama to make sure that her feet were still on the ground and that she was not flying across the room to choke her. And so I looked at Sarah and I go, please get the fuck out of my room. Just get out. I didn't even want to have to like deal with that, because like I wanted to fight her. I wanted to put hands on her. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to put hands on her. But I'm holding my baby. He's here. He's happy. He wasn't happy because he was mad as hell because he had been trying to come out. But what I want you to do, Sarah, is to get the fuck out. So Sarah just kind of like starts to back out and she starts to leave. And so now it's just, you know, me and my mom, my fiance, my baby, and another nurse in the room. So they had to bring me up to another floor to put me in like the room that I was going to be in for the rest of the time. So they put me in a wheelchair and another lady comes in and she was like wheeling me up. And so like while she's wheeling me up to like the elevator, we're just having like, you know, casual conversations. So she's like, yeah, because you know, I heard they call a code red for somebody, or I don't even know what code. I think it was a code blue. So she was like, yeah, you know, I heard they had to call a code blue for somebody. And so I was like, yeah, that was me. So she was like, what? So I was like, yeah. So she was like, they called the code blue for you and y'all still here? And I was like, yeah. So I'm like, well, what does code blue mean? She was like, code blue, like, it's for a doctor. Any doctor that can save a life is supposed to report to whatever room they call code blue in. So they call a code blue for my room. So that's why when I opened my eyes and I saw all the doctors, like every doctor that was in the area just came running because they called a code blue for my room. So she was like, wow, like I can't believe it, like what happened? So I was telling her everything that was happening. She was like, oh my God, are you serious? Like, wow. And I'm like, yeah. So then they bring me up to my room. So now I'm in the room that I'm going to be in for the remainder of the time. And I'm in my room, and like the whole time, staff from the hospital, they're coming in the room. They're like, what happened? Like, what happened to you? So like they all want to know like what was going on, what happened. So I was telling them, like I told them everything, and they were like, wow, and who was your nurse? And I was like, I told them like it was Sarah. They were all like, yup, that sounds like Sarah. And I'm like, y'all need to get Sarah the hell out of here. Sarah's doing this to a lot of people. Like, she need to go. And then the doctor that was on call that night, she came in and she was like, I'm so sorry that this happened to you. This should have never happened to you. They should have listened to you, or at least when you told them your pain level, somebody should have at least called me and I would have came in and tried to see what was going on. And so it turns out that the problem was, whenever I was induced, not by the doctor that I was talking to, but whenever I was induced, they put the balloon in incorrectly. So they put the balloon in incorrectly and they put the wrong amount of water in. So the whole time I was 10 centimeters dilated, but the balloon was in incorrectly, and so it was stopping my baby from coming out. So he had been trying to come out. That's why I was in so much pain. Like I was ready, like should have been giving birth, but the balloon was in the way. So whenever Kelly came in and she just moved the balloon, everything came out because everything was ready to come out. It was just blocked in by the balloon. So me telling this to Sarah, like me telling her my pain level and me telling her, hey, this is hurting, she should have been like, okay, let me go ahead and see what's going on. And if she would have just moved the balloon, we could have been done with this. But she decided that she wanted to go eat. So yeah, y'all, that's pretty much how I gave birth to my son by myself. And y'all know they had the nerve to send me a goddamn medical bill. Like, y'all didn't do nothing. Like, I did all that. Y'all need to pay me. Y'all need to pay me because I was a doctor that day. Y'all didn't do shit.